welcome to the Afterbrews. Once again, we are here at TREK CBD Studios. Thanks so much to Nick and Scott for letting us hold it here. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Ryan Smeltz, and
I am Gavin Vincent, and this is
Sam Hershey.
Thanks for watching. We've got hiccups, but one thing I've learned in the past year doing this show is if we're not having problems, we're not going anywhere.
That's right, man.
Because when we started, we had like
forward.
my iPad and a microphone.
I have to tell you, so when I ran for office, one thing you realize is you connect with more people when you're real. So having something like that where, hey, two guys are building this podcast and, saying kill the live feed, that just connects with people.
Yeah.
People get that.
Versus it being really polished and
right.
You remember you asking if anybody ever goes to the bathroom during the show, it gets up and just leaves.
Right. Yeah.
It's called the Secret Service after your Obama comment.
Oh
no! Every week now to see if there's a black helicopter.
Now we know.
Now you know.
Now we know. I thought about it. I was like, oh, nice. Yeah.
So have you seen that show, Comedians in Cars?
Yeah.
Getting coffee. He was on that.
Yeah.
And he pulls up to the White House and he gets in, and they I couldn't tell if it was staged and planned that way or if he actually tried to leave. But they wouldn't let him leave, so they drove in a circle around the driveway in the White House for the whole episode.
Oh, I believe it, yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty strict about that stuff.
I was like, I figure because he got him on the show, so if he got him on the show, I feel like he could have gotten permission.
So when he was on Bear Grylls show, and they did some hike in Alaska and stuff when Obama was, there were snipers or whatever on Bear Grylls the whole time in case he, because if he's got I don't think he was allowed to have a knife close to Obama, so they don't play games with any of that stuff.
Yeah, I was watching. It was an episode of.
Wow, that was really good.
Was it No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain? He was on one of those episodes. Did you see that? I think it was in Vietnam or somewhere, and he had him on.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, I wonder how much
his
Secret Service.
If you haven't listened to his book,
yeah.
He's got a couple, but I listened to one of his recently in the last year or so. Really good. Shame. That's a guy I would drink a beer with. I would love to drink a beer with him.
Oh, see,
he's dead guy, another dead guy. But I mean,
I see this weird trend here. Yeah. Everybody's dead.
Everyone cool. Chris Farley.
So I'm curious, how did the politics thing evolve from all the other stuff? I mean, it seems like you do the coaching and all the other things. You went to get your MBA. So how did politics come about?
So it's this simple. I always wanted to get into it. But we live on a cut-through street where people cut through down our street to avoid a light. And people on that street have been asking the city to do something for 2 decades, right? For years. And there's never been enough accidents or people quite don't go fast enough as an average speed. And so I had actually reached out to the former city councilor there. Really good person. Nothing, it's not personal, but never heard back. And, to me, when you're a city councilor, especially at the lowest level of politics, someone gets in touch with you, you get back to them no matter what. It could be a couple of days later, that's fine. And so it was just he was, I didn't know he was going to retire, but I was like, it's got to be better than this. Yeah. We got to have somebody who's responsive to the people in our district and the needs and so I was like, why not now?
Yeah.
Right. And so I just went for it and hired a fantastic campaign manager, Keith Mason. Shout out to him. And he helped guide me through it. And there were a lot of, it was an experience. When you saw the photo shoot of the Grim Reaper going on.
Yeah.
So I had photo shoots. They put makeup on you and everything to have you in the right light and do video recordings. I mean, it was interesting, but that was it. It was like we need a government that's responsive to the people.
Well, what was the biggest thing you learned in all that running for city council?
That politics are as bad as people think. Yeah, I mean, you see the selling.
Good news over here.
I mean, look, there is some wonderful people in politics, but you feel it as a candidate. Like, how do I get this vote, or how do I get this check? Do I sell out and just tell them whatever they want to hear, or do I stick by what I believe?
Right.
And I was proud to not sell out and to stick by what I believe. But you see it. I mean, you see the lack of integrity, whether it's people who are in politics or people who are want to be in that inner circle. And it sucks that it's like that. But you have people that are in there for the right intentions. That's all you can hope for.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That reminds me of what
House
is it
of
called?
Cards.
The Campaign.
Oh yeah, the campaign.
Well, that movie is fantastic.
That was pretty good.
You have to jiggle it.
Yeah.
You have to lift up. You have to jiggle the doorknob. Now push. No push. No push.
Yeah.
I told you, you put those two guys in a movie, and I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, a destination.
So I feel like, and that kind of brings me back to the running for city council again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you interacted with a lot of other people.
Oh yeah,
in government. Okay, and that's exciting to me because people hear I was in the Army and they're like, "Oh, you're in the Army," and their brain immediately goes to, because what media is exposed to the general public? All the big guys. You're talking Dan Crenshaw. He was Navy SEAL.
Right.
Business owner lives behind my brother. He was ex-Special Forces. All those guys. What's his name?
Groggins.
Jocko.
Yeah, Jocko.
David
Jocko.
Goggins.
These are all guys that, like, they were like, how far can I go? How far can I take this?
Right.
All the way? Yeah, let's do that. So I'm not saying, like, I've written one ebook. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. I intend on writing one for the correlation between the military and civilian world, so civilians can better understand how military is trained for leadership, and then hopefully, lower level military getting out can better understand how they can apply the things they learn in the military. Not a new concept. Hal Moore on leadership is basically about that.
Right.
But he was a general. So what I'm saying is people get this view, this perception of these, just extra super badassery. Yeah. And then they're like, that's you. Oh, you were in the Army. Okay. Yeah. All of these stories. That's my
perception of you before you even told me you were in the Army.
And what I tell people is, I did some awesome stuff. I traveled all over the world. But the point that I'm making is you have that perception like it's this greatness. Right. And, you read Dan Crenshaw's book, Fortitude, and it talks about the people who he worked beside and who his teammates were. And you're like, those are awesome people. Those are smart dudes. Like, this was a great organization. So the same thing when it goes for government. Like, if you think about it from the outside, you have this certain perception. Although, then again, as I'm speaking, I feel like Parks and Recreation might completely destroy that view.
No, it's kind of spot on.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, in the military, just as much as we had the Dan Crenshaws, we also had the Dudley Do-Right.
Right.
or the Amy Poehler. So that's basically my question. Was it like, you think, oh, government's going to be this way, and then you get into it and you're like, oh man, these people couldn't sweep their own floor.
There are a lot of people that you have to get to know. I mean, it is you think like, well, when you're in Raleigh, it's not. Yeah. I mean, there is a local power structure in Raleigh.
Well, I guess that leads me to my next. So, in my head, I just always think that there's something deeper than just the politician. Like, there are people behind the scenes that.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think is?
The Raleigh City staff is pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't envy them because you have one group of people that thinks they should be doing X and another group that thinks that they should be doing Y. And they're really trying their best to make Raleigh the best it can be for everybody. And so they do a great job at the local level. Now, the local level politicians don't have, you become a congressman, you have all these aides, right? If you're a city councilor, you don't have that. You're answering all your own emails and taking all your own calls and that sort of thing. So they don't have, and the Raleigh city staff doesn't work for the politician like that, right? It's the staff does their work, but they're not going to take a call for a councilman,
Right.
and talk on behalf of the councilman,
Right.
right?
That's very cool.
But
I have a solution for that.
What's that?
Well, I mean, I feel like it would get into your typical governmental red tape, virtual assistants.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much my solution to
Yeah,
anything.
virtual-
If it's on the
yeah,
computer,
yeah.
like,
And then
I don't,
get a VA.
especially if it becomes tedious. So, obviously from like a, taking care of people's standpoint, you're still going to need to do that. But even if it's an autoresponder that says, hey, thanks so much, I got your email.
yeah,
I'll get back to you within
It helps.
24 hours,
Yeah.
something like that. Anything you can automate, whether that be a virtual assistant, is just paid a little bit to, do upkeep, or a software program that automates it. It feels better when I submit a ticket somewhere or ask a question or reach out to a help desk, and I get that email that says, hey, we got you.
Yeah.
Just stand by real quick.
Yeah.
One thing you were talking about where people find out you're in the military, there are definitely things when you're running for office, professions, or being a dad, being a parent, that play better in someone's mind. Like, if someone is in the military, automatic respect, right? Whereas if someone's a lawyer, and this is just the way it is, there might be a little like, they're a lawyer, how it goes. So there is, that plays into it. So you see, it's like, hey, play the dad card, right? Because you're with your kid. Now, I had to take my kid to some events because that's just, what being a parent is.
Yeah.
You just got to take them sometimes. And I'm sure that helped, since I am the stay-home dad, we talked about that a lot, and that plays well. I mean, it's kind of like, it makes me cringe to say that it plays well, but it's just a fact of life. I mean, that's just what it was. But the consultants will tell you, play up this angle, maybe not so much this angle, to different politicians.
Right.
So, yeah.
I would do terrible.
I think you do great, man. You already got the military aspect. You have the beard.
If you like, it's if you like talking to people, and meeting people, and you're comfortable and with anybody from any background, you do fine.
Yeah. Did you also mention that you kind of do life coaching and
executive coaching?
Executive coaching.
So I got into that when I was doing the MBA. We had to do that as part of, the 2-year process, and I thought, like, this is gonna suck, right? I don't want to spend any time doing this. I'm gonna do like my 3 required hour-long sessions.
Yeah.
And immediately it was just fantastic. And so then I took this program at coachu.com. And it was like 75 hours of class work to become a coach. And then you work to become a certified coach. You have to have a certain number of coaching hours. But it's really great because it's all about asking questions. And I love to talk. So I had to train myself to just listen and really do active listening. But it's about asking questions and getting somebody to come up with the solution to their problem. Like, it doesn't do me any good to tell you what you should do. Okay, you have to do what it is you want to do, and you have to get there. Like if you have a problem, right? You talk about what your problem is. Well, where do you want to go? What do you want the solution to look like? Well, I want to have this podcast where, we have 100,000 viewers. All right, what's preventing you from doing that, from taking that first step? Like you get into your podcast of starting a business in a pandemic. What is preventing somebody from taking the first step to starting that business? And then you start seeing the barriers that they have placed. Some of them may be real, some of them may be created in their mind. And then you go through, how do you remove those barriers? And I'm not telling you how to remove the barriers. You are coming up because
you're asking good questions.
You're the one who has to do the work. Yeah. If I say, hey, this is how you remove this barrier. Well, you got to decide if you're actually going to do that. Yeah. And it's better if it's coming from yourself than it is from somebody else.
That's crazy because it's just the power of asking good questions.
That's right.
That's crazy.
And it's really, always ask an open-ended question. Mm-hmm. Like if I ask you a bunch of yes/no questions, that doesn't do anything.
No.
I want you to expand your thinking. And sometimes you ask the same question 3 times in a row because they're not expanding. They're unwilling to, go deep, so to speak. And it's not therapy. You're not getting into how
was your dad? How was the relationship with your dad?
It's not relationship counseling or anything like that. It is, what do you want to do in life? And then how can I help, I can be a source of accountability for you. Mm-hmm. We have a meeting, an hour-long session 3 times a month or twice a month. And, you come back and you tell me what you're doing. So, cool. And it really helps people decide like what they really want to do, because a lot of people think they want to do something, and then it's like a New Year's resolution, right? You do something, you say I'm going to do this, and then a month later you're not doing it. So you didn't really want to do it.
Well, sounded good,
right? It was good for a month, and that's it. So
how much of that you think is? How much of that you think is real, and how much of that you think is just people put that barrier in their mind, in their place?
There's a lot of barriers that the person has created. Yeah. Time is the biggest one, right? Because if you think about how much people scroll through their phone, if you put down your phone if you just say, all right, someone looks down there, all of a sudden they've been on their phone for 2 hours. Yeah. And this is a common problem.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right. Get on what can you do then? If you're saying you have no time, you get into like getting them to talk about what is taking up their time. Mm-hmm. And then they start to realize, well, scrolling on my phone is taking up my time. Yeah. So, all right, if you want to do this, you got to stop scrolling on your phone, kind of thing. So and then there are some legit barriers, financial. Okay, so you want to accomplish this and you need X amount of dollars. What can you be doing to save up that money? What are the spending habits of somebody? So you start thinking how they can save. So it's, some of it's real, some of it is created in the mind. And oftentimes it's created because they don't want to really do it. Right? I want to lose 20 pounds and be ripped. Okay, so what's stopping you? I don't have time. You don't have time to. What is taking up all your time? Yeah. And then they start making excuses. Well, why aren't you down doing 20 push-ups every commercial? Mm-hmm. Is that modified or real? Right. Yeah. That'll get you going.
Yeah. People have it, and they have the same 24 hours you have.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So and it's really but the beauty of it is you are really helping people find clarity.
That's awesome. That's crazy because I feel like that's something that I would be good at, but it's literally just like coax the excuses out and then explain how it's not.
Yeah. But I feel like yours would be like a lot more F-bombs and like.
Well, no, definitely. You can lay the expectation like, hey, if I'm your coach, I cuss.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? But you wouldn't even give them explanations for why it's bad. They would come up for the explanations for why it's bad.
I just think it's funny because that was being a non-commissioned officer 101. You get a guy, like I had a guy down at Fort Hood couldn't pass his PT test. I was like, dude, you just got out of basic training.
Yeah.
You have to pass the PT test to get out of basic training. You've been off for 2 weeks because everybody gets 2 weeks leave afterwards. What's the problem?
Right.
I'm too slow. You know how to get faster? Run. No, really, right now, run.
Right.
And he would run.
Right.
And he would run before PT with me, and he would run during PT with the platoon, and he would run after work while I was on shift. And I would come by and I would check on him. And I'd be like, that's cool. Run some more.
Nice.
Now, I mean, there's a huge difference there because obviously if he doesn't do what I tell him to, I'm in a leadership position.
Right.
So there's certain steps and disciplinary measures. And then the funniest part, because I talked to my accountability partner about this, and I'm like in my job right now, if I go out and I close 2 apps in one day, everybody's like, yeah, good job, way to go. That's great. Those are really good numbers. 3 is better, but whatever. To me, I'm just like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Right.
So he calls me up and he's like, Sergeant, I passed my PT test. What do you want, a cookie?
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. Get a 300 and come talk to me. Get a perfect score.
But you know what you did? Even in that situation, you made him realize what he was not doing. And it dawned on him like what he was not doing to pass. And that's effective.
I think the biggest difference is I was able to take away the thing that was taking up most of his time, which I don't even know what that was, but if a soldier's not doing something that they're supposed to be doing, you just keep them out of their room, away from their friends, out of their car, away from their phone.
That's exactly what it is. And in coaching, it's they have that responsibility. Like it's not my job to tell them and to supervise them. And if they don't do it, then they're not going to pass the test.
It's like they come back and visit with you later on, and you're like, okay, did you get ripped? And they're like, no. And you go, why not? I didn't do what I told you I should do.
What
I didn't do the thing that
what
I told
prevented
you I should be doing?
Funny how that works. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess you better get on that then.
Get somebody get going on that deal.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. And light bulbs go off fast for people.
Is it more career like business based, or is it more relationship based, or what kind of goals do people usually have when they come to
It's
you?
Everything.
It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they want to be doing something. They say they want to be doing something, and they're not doing it. So how can they get there?
Yeah. Let's see that.
So before we kill the recording, I want to record the credits, which doesn't have to be rehearsed or anything, because then I'm going to kill it and then do the same thing with Nick if we can. I know he's pretty big on unscripted, so
yeah.
So basically, I'll just talk about it because it's the Afterbrews, and the biggest issue was the audio. So
Are you doing the whole thing, or are we kind of chiming in? Or
so what I was going to say, just to make it easy, is I'll do most of it, and then when I introduce myself, Ryan Smeltz, I'm going to say and.
Gavin Vincent.
You can say that, and then you can say our guest this evening is
Sam Hershey.
And after you say is, you can have him say his name.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
I just think it'd be cool to have the guest's voice on there as well.
Yeah, I like that.
So you guys cool with that? So your cue is and your cue is.
Yes.
Okay.
Easy enough?
Yeah.
Don't worry, if we screw it up, we can just do it again.
That's right. We'll blame it on the beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.